Some heart-wrenching news today out of southeast Michigan where a child's body has been found. Police say it is likely little Nevaeh Buchanan, who you see on the right-hand side of your screen there. This was a shallow grave, we understand, and the body was buried under some concrete. We do want to point out, please don't miss the Nancy Gray Show at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight because she has an exclusive interview with the man who found that body along the river. But right now we want to get back to some of our guests. Mike Brooks, what specifically tonight are they looking for at that river?
Well, I can tell you, Christy, it's going to be very painstakingly, it's going to be tough. Because after they remove the body, apparently it's down a steep embankment. So what they're going to do is they're going to take soil from where the body was, and most likely they're going to be going through and sifting that soil, looking for any piece of evidence that the killer could have left behind. And they'll probably process the whole scene from the road all the way down to the riverbank, because there could be just a small piece of evidence there, you know, a cigarette butt, something like that could contain DNA, anything at all that investigators are looking for. And that's why you saw yesterday the evidence technicians on the scene all wearing the white Tyvek suits to make sure that they did not contaminate the crime scene whatsoever with anything from their person.
Again, we don't know definitively that this body that was found is Nevaeh Buchanan, but how long will it be before the autopsy will be completed and we'll get results?
The autopsy, probably with the concrete, is going to slow it down a little bit. I would see an identification coming before the autopsy, but they'll go ahead and identify the body first, then try to determine what cause of death was. But they say the reports are that there were no obvious signs of trauma, so they'll have to do maybe some toxicology tests, those kind of things. But, you know, we don't know. Was it drugs? Was it asphyxiation? We don't know. We just don't know.
Okay. Michelle, they've questioned 3 sex offenders. None of them are being called suspects. Who are they looking for? What kind of a person here?
At this point, what the sheriff said earlier today was that anyone and everyone is a suspect, basically, that he's not letting anyone out of his sights. He's not only checked sex offenders throughout the area, which there are more than 150 within the 1 or 2 mile radius of where little Nevaeh went missing, but he's also questioning neighbors, friends, family members, anyone who had the last close contact with little Nevaeh, including some children in the neighborhood, some of which who had said to have seen possibly a green minivan last leaving the scene. And then also around May 24th, when Nevaeh first went missing, there were 2 children that came forward that said that she was actually last seen with George Kennedy, although that has not checked out 100% as of yet. So at this time, investigators are still accepting leads. As of yesterday morning, there were 945 leads that came in on this case. We will take your leads at America's Most Wanted. If you call 1-800-CRIME-TV, if you can always remain anonymous. So we will pass those tips off to investigators.
Okay, I want to get some sound to you right now. We have an interview from the father of the man who discovered this body. Take a listen.
We were fishing right there, right where she was. And he was sitting right there with his feet on the cement. And the more he moved, the more the cement broke away. And then we found her.
Boy, you can imagine how distraught they are. Lisa, what's so stomach-turning about this? And we're not incriminating anybody here. I want to point that out. But here's another case of a child murdered. And guess what? There are sex offenders in the neighborhood, known convicted sex offenders, being questioned now, too. Why are these guys free to walk around?
Yeah, it's very disturbing. I mean, sex offenders don't get life in prison without parole for their first offense, so most of them do get out eventually. They're expected to abide by the terms of their parole, but you usually have 1 parole officer for many hundreds of offenders, and they simply can't follow everyone. And so, unfortunately, we see them having contact with this kind of a child and with many other children, clearly in violation of their parole. I want to say something else, though, about the concrete. I mean, we can clearly rule out any kind of an accident theory once they get a suspect and a defendant and it goes to trial. No one's going to be able to claim that she just accidentally wandered into the river and drowned, for example, because clearly concrete was poured on her in an effort to hide the body. So this is clearly a murder. It's not an accident. It's not a manslaughter. This was an intentional act.
Yeah, and it is just too much, I think, for us to take again and again and again. Mike Brooks, Michelle Sagona, and Lisa Bloom, thank you all so much for your time and your expertise. We always appreciate it. A group of high school teens accused of holding down